What Drives You is brought to you by Ziegler, your premier source for equipping life and leadership coaches. Visit Ziegler.com and let them inspire your true coaching performance.
Yeah.
Welcome to What Drives You. I am your host, Kevin Miller, and thanks for joining me as I talk with today's most influential change makers to uncover what truly drives them. I extract the big takeaways from their insights so you can integrate that wisdom and leverage the power of your unique drive and wake up every day to your authentic, driven, and inspired life. Here, I'm back with Super Coach Ajit Nawalkha in this series on self-coaching, which is his expertise. In our first show together, we dug deep into that, what self-coaching is. And we talked about getting coaching outside of that as well, but how that leads into your self-coaching. Please check out that episode. We hit just some major issues around personal transformation overall. He has been doing this so long. He's an expert in that personal transformation at large. This is part two, where we talk about what drives him specifically. We go through the main areas of life to talk about what drives him and what he is doing to self-coach himself through life as he wants to. I do want to point out too, his book is called Live Big. It's over my shoulder for those of you watching the video, and you can get it free. He's given it to you absolutely free if you will go to Coach Ajit, AJIT.com/live-big-special. Hey man, great to be back with you. And thanks for that, by the way, giving us the book. That's awesome. I didn't know that was going to come with the show. So I appreciate you doing that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely welcome. There's a few years ago, I published it with a publisher, and
Oh,
recently I bought the rights back because I felt there was not enough value that we were able to drive with the book. And the best thing about owning your own content is you can give it away for free. So I was like, hey, listen, I don't
fair enough.
necessarily need the money from the book. I'd rather have this message be with more people. So yeah,
Yeah. Well,
decided to give
thank
it away.
you. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Well, on this aspect of what drives you, it was kind of divine, we'll call it, that at the end of our first talk together, we kind of got into that on that purpose and the aspect of purpose. And that's a big part of spirituality. So I'll ask you then, what are your values around spirituality? How do you walk those out?
So my I don't know about values around spirituality, but how I view
What drives you?
spirituality.
Let's call it
Yeah,
what
yeah.
drives.
My spirituality is stems from the understanding, or my current understanding of spirituality is in essence that you must live a life of meaning. I don't necessarily believe in any particular ideal worship. I don't necessarily follow a particular religion. I'm interested in all religions, so I do study religious text to understand conceptually as to where would they originate from, what were they trying to tell us, and were they trying to tell us something. And
Mhm.
they always fascinate me whenever I get a chance. They're a little loaded and heavy, so I like to think about them. So I don't read them as quickly as I read the other books.
Yeah.
But my spirituality is human beings. My spirituality is discovery. My spirituality is living a life of meaning and purpose. And I stay present to that in every way, in every day. I also believe my spirituality. I believe definitely that we are energetically bonded, and I don't know how far you want to take this. So stop me
As far and
if
far
I
as
go far into the deep end. And you're like, dude, what are you talking about?
no, you can go.
Uh,
We'll go into deep water.
so to me, my personal experience of spirituality has been where I have had trance-like states without any hallucinogens or anything like that. I've tried them too, but even without them, just in a deep meditative state, I've experienced humanity's consciousness to myself. Like I've personally experienced it, and so I feel like on because I'm turned on to that, I feel very connected to other human beings. And so I do believe in one consciousness, if I may call it that, which means we are all intertwined with a thing that we cannot explain. So I call it consciousness, but it's one consciousness. And so we are all tapped into each other energetically, which is why my work, if you would see, or what I do on a day to day basis, or how I show up or I try to show up on a day to day basis, is always from a place of contribution. Or what can I do for you? And if I can do some for you, what happens is it elevates your consciousness, hopefully. And if it elevates your consciousness, hopefully we all, as one humanity, one consciousness, also elevate. So that's my intent. That's my spirituality. That's how I live. I believe in energy work because of that. I believe in intuition because of that. I believe in connectedness because of that.
I tapped into you earlier. You said in spirituality is, human beings, and you said the word discovering,
Hmm.
which I appreciate because as we look at this, and especially, and I feel a little bit free to tap on religion a little bit because that's what I've grown up with was a staunch, religion that even though there are tenets of it that I still attest to, I question the certainty of
Hmm.
that. And the people that I find myself drawn to and interested and curious about are the ones who are on a continual state of discovery. I don't know how to separate that out of spirituality. I mean, it is called faith
Hmm.
overall, which belies that it's not a proven thing. That's hard to have certainty. So for you to to highlight that word of in your spirituality of discovering is that speaks to the kind of faith that I now have. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Relationships is the next one, Ajit. And I got a couple things that I pulled out about you. A couple things he finds that Ajit finds daily nourishment in cooking breakfast for his family or making secret plans to surprise your wife on an unforgettable date night. I love those things about relationships. So tell me what drives you in your relationships.
So I was very intentional about my current relationship, how we found it, how we got together, how we live our life every single day. And it comes a little bit from a backstory of I had a relationship which was more not traditional per se, but comfortable. You can say in a way, it was an easy relationship to be in, and it showed me what a relationship, while may seem perfect from outside, is not perfect for me. So my relationship, fundamental relationship value is growth. That I want to be excited about my relationship. I'm not looking for comfort in my relationship. I'm looking for growth in my relationship. You've spoken to my partner Nita, who also wrote a book that's like now what few last this early this year, and if you know of her, if you know her, if you interact with her, you would see what kind of person she is. She's very growth oriented. She's very pragmatic. She's trying to do great things every day. She's trying to learn every day, very much in congruence with what I want in my relationship. In my relationship, I want growth. I want certain certainties, of course, but overall, generally, the feeling of relationship, the essence of relationship, relies on is the person going to grow with me or will push me if I'm not growing and would want me to push them if they're not growing, right? So the essence, the foundation is, are we growing and developing? Are we consistently staying curious about the juice of life, if I may call it that? And which is where you got the things that you would see. There are certain things that are very certain, like I love hanging out with my kids and my family, so I would often make breakfast. Sometimes I would make dinner. Sometimes I would do activities. Sometimes I would do such activities for them to provide certain certainty in their life. Is to go, oh, they know dad's going to make breakfast. Dad, or not always, sometimes my wife makes it, but a lot of times I make it, right? But I like spending quality time with my kids, and not only in the sense of just, hey, let's sit and do work together or game together or something like that, but also in service of them, in service of my family. The
Yeah.
reason why you like you mentioned that we have a protocol, me and protocol, or a routine, you may say, that me and Nita has. And the reason we have that is because we got two kids, 2 and 5. And when you have 2 and 5 year old, it's very easy to kind of settle in and say, you know what, let's hang out with the kids because it's so cute and so nice and so
Sure.
fun. So hanging out with the kids was easy and was fun and awesome. But we also realized that if you're not intentional about a relationship, we will lose the joy in relationship, like relationship with each other. So what
Yeah.
we started doing is we said, okay, we are going to go on a date night every Thursday, which is literally every Thursday we would go on a date night. But it's not just a date night. It's not just like, all right, let's go to a restaurant and talk about kids again, which is what happens in date nights a lot of the time. At least that's what I've been told. We said date nights need to happen in categories. We need to do something that is growth oriented, right? So one could be, let's go attend a seminar, let's go do a 1 day seminar, let's go take an online program, let's take some growth centered activity, go find a coach that can work with us and do a bunch of activities with us for an evening. Something that grows our relationship, bonds us together. It's not just passive consumption of wine and food, right? It's a little bit more interesting. The second thing that we need to do is it needs to be an adventure, because guess when you get really bonded with someone? when you do
Yeah.
an adventure with them, right? So something difficult, something adventurous, something like a hike or a run or something adventurous, bike ride, whatever it might be, something that would count as an adventure. Third thing would be something that either of us love, but the other person might not love it so much. Like my wife loves doing things like salsa classes and pickleball, and I don't like those, but I would do it for her, right? And same as for me, there are certain things that I like that she would do for me, right? And the fourth one is a pass. Fourth one is fine. Let's go for dinner. Let's explore a restaurant we cannot explore with kids because we do love great restaurants, right? And Austin does have great food options. So you're like
Yeah.
the fourth type of date night would be something that is more chill and relaxed. It's more like go, let's have dinner, watch a movie, something like that,
Yeah.
something easy. Now these are the four activities, and one of us would take a month. So say for example, month of November is all Ajit. So Ajit has to decide all four activities, and he has to come up with what it would be, right? And he has to plan for it, he has to manage it. And all four activities uh, ideally should end with sex. So that is of course a default at the end. It's like you must have
Absolutely.
sex either before the activity or after the activity, but you must have it. Again, it's probably more so because we have a 2 and a 5 year old and it gets difficult at
Yeah.
house. Yeah, people go, you could do it in the day, this, that, but both of us are also very ambitious people. We are on the road a lot of the times and so forth. So ours is a little bit more structured with a lot
Yeah.
of variety. So we mix it up. But the thing that drives me in my relationship is growth and variety
That
within the
is
relationship.
excellent. I appreciate you. Yeah, date night. That was always a kickoff. Is we don't talk about the kids, or if we do, we combine. You combine. Okay, 15 minutes, and we're done. No more talking about the kids. I appreciate that. I don't know that I'll do this in each category, Ajit, but I find myself wanting to ask, where do you relationally, and this can be beyond. This can be obviously your family. It can be with friends. It can be with coworkers. Whatever. I mean, relationships at large. Where do you find yourself? I don't know if I want to say needing to, but at times needing to coach yourself.
I would say everywhere, man. I mean, there's no area. If you're enjoying an area of life, it's probably because you're coaching yourself really well on it. I don't see a point where you don't coach yourself. For example, let's take an example of my relationship.
Yep.
The reason why I get to enjoy the relationship and the variety of relationship is because variety within the scope of the same relationship is because we are excellent communicators, both me and Nita. And because of that, we have to constantly remind ourselves to bring ourselves back to the present moment and focus on what is, and not go back into you said this and you did that and this happened. We don't live in our past, we live in our present. It's because of certain habits and behaviors we have built in our own relationship. I mean, even if you think about our date nights, it's a habit, it's a structure that allows for a relationship to thrive. It's the same with friendships. I mean, my friends often are global. I don't see them for months. So
Mhm.
I have to stay present to finding and rediscovering what a friendship even means, right? Does friendship mean frequency of contact, or does friendship mean the depth of contact? Right? It's an interesting question to answer. The way you think about it would define the quality of friends that you would have,
Yeah.
right? My definition is different. No, it's not different, but my definition is it's the depth that matters to me more than the frequency. So I don't need you to see me every day. I don't need to see you every day, but we do see each other at least once a quarter, and we do go deep. We are not doing shallow conversation. We're not talking about the weather. We're not just going and getting a beer. We are really in a very intentional friendship relationship as well.
Yeah. When you look at relationships, at large, speaking of that, that's a good place to go deep and as opposed to frequency. You spoke in the first talk that we did on self coaching on our propensity to be so influenced by the expectations, the cultural norms in essence.
Mhm.
And when you look at relationships, we've got a lot of, we look at social media, we got a lot of things of expectations of what we think relationships are. Is that one that you would put there that we often get to thinking, oh, it's got to be like friends, you're together all the time and it may be shallow. And you're saying, no, not a right or wrong, but there may be a need to, it doesn't have to be all the time, but that would be one is to go deep sometimes as well.
Absolutely. I think we must question every standard that is in the world, because standards, and this might be a little controversial, but if you are following a standard, it's probably because let's look at it from the point of view of school, from the point of view of medicine, right? If there is an average or there is a standard, it's probably something that is actually below average,
Yeah.
right? It's not something that's even average. It's below average, is what, because that's just how standards are built. Standards are not built for you to hit a high value. Standards are built so you can somehow be standardized and succumb to something that's easy to accept and easy to create for everyone, right? So that more people can be included. It's designed for inclusion. It's not designed for extraordinary. A general standard is designed for inclusion, not for extraordinary, right? So if you go, well, are you 22% body fat? You're really fit, let's say, for a 40-year-old man. Yes, that's not a extraordinary standard. You
Mhm.
are trying to include as many people as you possibly can. That's
Yeah.
what is the standard you're setting. Same as for friendship. If your friendship is depending on, and again, this is completely up to the person, but if you're just following a standard that the world has and you're saying, well, that fits the standard, you're not going for extraordinary. You're most likely getting for inclusion. So ask yourself, is that what you want in that part of relationship that you want? Do you just want a stable, standard relationship? That's okay if you want that. That's a decision that you got to make. I don't want that for me. I want to set my standard, and I don't want to follow a standard just because it's easy to follow a standard. You know what I mean?
I do. And I appreciate you bringing that up again. We hit on that in the first talk we had, the standards, and even that within coaching, that we can often ascribe to people out there, coaches and influencers to a degree, who have, as you said, they're promoting their lifestyle and their standards, and they may not be yours. They may not be relevant. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Next category is health and wellness, which I know you talked about. Your own journey into becoming an athlete. And I read, I don't know where I read it. Ajit, I'm ready to be fitter than I was at 20 before I hit the big 4-0. So tell
Yeah.
me what's driving you with your health and wellness.
It's a story that we shared in the previous episode where I had a little situation with my 3-year-old at the time,
Yeah.
and I had a eye-opening moment. And in that moment, I had a few visions that I painted for myself, and I reminded myself of those visions again and again and again and again until I started to believe them fully that they would happen. And when one of them happened, I knew that I was already hitting the goal of better health than I would be. Like you said, I had set myself up to that I would be healthier, fitter, better at 40 than I was at 20. I already am. I've not even hit 40. 40 is about 8 months from now. I will be even more healthier, better, fitter, because this is a lifestyle switch. See,
Yeah.
for the first 36 or so years of my life, I have four key values that I follow, that I found are my core values. That these are the values that I don't go against. These are the values that I always chase, that I always operate from or choose to operate from. The number one value is love. Second is service. Third is freedom. And they were my values for the longest part of my life. The fourth one that I've discovered and added to my value set is health. Right? That's my new among the top four values. So I don't do things if they don't fit in my health category. So, Ajit, can you work 20 hours a day? Yes. But will I be healthy? No. So I'm not going to work 20-hour days. Right? Ajit, can you, eat this big pizza? Yes. But does that fit my health value? No. So I'm not going to eat this big pizza. Right. So it's very subject. So my life is structured to fit the health set, because what I've also found, and as I speak to more and more people, and as I get to enjoy this beautiful life that I've been blessed with and have been able to create for myself, is that after a point, the only thing that matters is your health. That's the only thing that you got. That's the only thing that lets you actually enjoy the life you create. So you could become the wealthiest person and then you're not healthy. You don't get to enjoy any of the wealth. You could
Yeah.
have two kids, but you're not healthy. You don't get to enjoy your kids. You can have the most amazing partner and you don't have your health, you don't get to enjoy your amazing partner. So good luck enjoying anything if you don't care of the vessel that lets you experience life. And so health has become one of my primary values, and I value it enough that I my nutrition, my every context of well-being is very, very well taken care of, very focused on it.
It reminds me back in my early cycling days as a pro cyclist. I lived with a buddy who was an elite cyclist and went to be a triathlete, and was pursuing that. And you're young, you can get away with a lot, man. You can eat a pint of ice cream, you can do whatever. And he was talking with a coach, and the guy said ultimately says, yeah, you can get away with it, but if you want to really win big, you got to look at everything and ask, is it going to help or hurt your progress? And it really changed his life. And I think it was about 2 years later. His name's Chuck Valopek. He won Ironman Canada off that. But I'll never forget that.
Oh,
It was so significant to them because, again, he was doing what all the other guys are, and you can burn anything. You can burn a pizza and burn whatever. But is it helping or is it hurt? Is it fueling or is it taken away? Can you get by with it? Sure. But can you, as you said, can you be extraordinary as opposed to just the norm? It's significant. Well, tell me some of the specifics. One of them being on the nutrition side. What do you do? Now, you told us in the first one that are you vegetarian or actually vegan?
I'm vegetarian, not
Vegetarian.
vegan. Yeah,
Okay, but
vegetarian.
tell me the structure that you ascribe to nutritionally.
So I try to take 120 grams of protein. I do a test called Biome, which is for microbiome optimization, gut, saliva, all of it. So I find my foods to avoid and to take from Biome because it tells you based on your microbiome which foods are good for you, which foods are not good for you. But then it's all optimized for. One second, I'm about to sneeze.
Ah, fair enough.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
So once I have that data, I would choose foods from it that is optimized mostly for the amount of protein that I need in my diet. I work out every day, maybe 1 day or 2 days a week that I rest, depending on, like, for example, today, usually I wouldn't work till the time that I'm working. It's only because of you, Kevin, that I'm still in my office. Usually at this time, I'm at the gym.
Ah,
But this is in service and love, so it's fine. It's also my off day, so it's fine. But usually, I would pretty much around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I would go hit the gym for about an hour, hour 40, hour 20, or I would go for a long walk and another for an hour or so, and then I would take my dinner usually before 6:30. So I have very dedicated times. I intermittent fast, so I fast until noon, and then I would eat my first meal at that time. Usually, it's very boring standard meals, and I love them. Like, I have a way that I do chickpeas. I would eat that. There's a way I do tofu. I would eat that. It's all somewhat measured. I'm not super like it must hit 120, but I tend to hit 120 every day. And then my evenings are also pretty routine of what I would eat. There are a few more carbs in the evening, though. I do like roti, which is an Indian bread. It's freshly baked, so I would eat that. Yes. So the evening is a little bit of carbs, not a lot, but mostly high protein. And vegetables have carbs anyway, so I have good carb
yeah.
content too.
When you're so at the gym, is that resistance training you're doing there? Are you doing
Yes.
cardio? What are you doing?
No, only resistance training, strength training. It is designed by my trainers, so I interchangeably use these terms, but because I don't always know what I'm doing, but they are not focused. They're focused on hypertrophy and strength training mostly, and I cycle through different workouts. Again, designed by my trainers who are CrossFit champions and all of that. So, but my workout is not CrossFit. I don't do the crazy, I
Right.
ain't trying to hurt myself or
Right.
compete.
A safe athlete. Oh, fair enough. No,
Yeah.
thanks. Next one is your mind,
Hmm.
your mental health, even your mental state, Ajit. What is it that you want to achieve there? What's driving you there?
So I I optimize. So I tend to be like you are probably as well, Kevin, like very passionate individual. And because of that, what I've found is there is a certain amount of work that is optimal for me, after which I should stop. Even if I have the capacity to do more, I should just stop. Because if I won't, I just don't know how to stop. Right. So what I've done structurally for my life is for my mental well-being. In the morning, I give a good hour and a half to two to my kids and my family and my wife. We hang out. We do our morning stuff together. We dance together. We cuddle a lot. I make breakfast. We do chai together, which is like an Indian coffee, you can say, in a way. So we'll do like an hour and a half to two. Depends on the day. Sometimes we wake up early, so two. Otherwise, about 90 minutes we'll be together. I'll get ready within that frame and come to the office around 8:30 in the morning, my time. And that's 8:30 in the morning, because 9 a.m. onwards is when I start working. The first 30 minutes, we basically have a house, and our office is also a residential property that we use as studio and everything. So it has a full setup. Uh, but I come here because then the 30-minute morning routine actually happens here. The reason being because I have my kids there and we love each other, which means they're on top of me and I can't really do anything. So I would come here, and usually it would involve, it would start in my car. So a book would start in my car. I'll drive up here. A very specific set of music that I have, which is inspiring and motivating, would be with me in the car. I would get here, and then would be my meditation, my focus for the day, my me calming down and just breathing, just making sure I'm regulated and I'm present to what is important to me today. And then I start doing messages. So you would say around 8:50ish onwards, as I'm on my phone. 9 o'clock, I have my first few set of calls. I train pretty much every day, or I have calls 3 days a week, at least Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I start my calls, and I am on calls for like 3 hours straight usually, because I'm training in one platform or another. Uh, and then I do 1 or 2 more hours of work, and then I'm done. And the reason for that is because I know I am one of those people that I'm so driven that I can keep going if nobody stops me. But that's exactly why at 12 o'clock, I'll take a 30-minute break to eat. And then I'll do 2 more hours, 30, 40 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes is also time when me and Nita catch up. We hang out, we talk about how the day is going, if there's something that we need to catch up on, if there's a work talk that we need to do, all of that happens in that 45 minutes. And then I'll do another 2 hours approximately of work, sometimes a little less, but most of the days 2 hours. And around 2:30, 2:45, I'll leave the office. I might hang out with Nita again if she's free for another 20, 30 minutes, but then I leave the office and I go to the gym. I'll hit the gym for about hour 20, and I'm home by 5, and then it's time for kids. So because of the structure, and you would see that sounds like really like mundane every day, but it's designed for my mental health. Is there's at no point am I so exhausted that I feel, or I could let emotions like overwhelm or anxiety to come in. It's never too much work. It's never too little work. It's enough breaks in the middle. It is quality of work is always predetermined. And there's enough activity that fuels me so I can exert fully when I'm working.
I appreciate the design of your day. It reminds me of the concept of Dr. Benjamin Hardy in his book, Willpower Doesn't Work, where
Mhm.
when we just rely on like that with mental state, I'm just going to, grit my teeth and have a good mental health state. And you're saying, no, you're designing your life around advocating for your mental health. We don't hear that often. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Um,
no, and it's so and the thing is, it's so important because if you really think about, like, if you want to be a high performer in any field, really, like, you have to, the greatest asset is always going to be your mind and your energy. And people think working hard works. It doesn't. Because when you're working hard, often your work, it may work in your 20s, just because again you feel like you're mostly skill building at the time, so you think it's work but you're not really working. You're like kind of like learning things, so it's fine then to work really long hours. But beyond a point, if you're working really hard, then you're not skill building, you were just grinding. And if you're grinding, you're not doing quality work. You're probably doing really crap quality work. Secondly, you need to think about your body and your mind as a battery pack. If you're just spending the battery, at some point you're running at the fuel ending stage. And if you're running at the fuel end stage or at empty, you're not going to have a good throughput. So the
yeah.
reason why I only have 5 hours of active work hours, if I may call it them, because I still do meaningful, passionate work. It doesn't feel like work to me. But if I have to say mental exerting work, because it is mentally exerting, there's a reason why I have around 12, 12:30, I talk to my wife for 45 minutes, because it's rewarding me. It's fueling me back. Now I can go exert for 2 more hours without a challenge. Then I go to workout. It's because workout, the way I work out, at least the workout, the effect it has on my body is it fuels me. I'm not exhausted after the workout. I'm actually more energized after the workout. So when my kids see me at 5 o'clock in the evening, they see the same dad they left in the morning with same amount of energy. They're going, Dad doesn't get tired ever. Dad can play the same way like he was playing at 6:30 in the morning when we woke up. He's the same dude when they see me at 5 o'clock in the evening. And the reason is because I reset my entire biological system by doing a movement that actually fuels me. Right. So you need to think yourself as a battery pack and go, if I just keep exerting, there will be a point I will experience things like burnout, anxiety, overwhelm. You're triggered easily when you're exhausted fully, right? That's why the data says that most couples fight in the evening. And the reason is pretty obvious because both of you are tired.
Yeah.
So your emotional thermostat has gone all the way down here. So easy to get triggered.
I want to pull out also, if I understood correctly, that if we can call it your morning routine, your meditation, your plan of the day, your preparation, you're getting your mind, yours happens at 8 o'clock after the kids. So you wake up to the kids. Okay. Well, I appreciate that because we've talked and again, I mean, this is not a right or wrong. This is giving people freedom to find what works for you, because we have the crowd that says, you get up at 5 a.m., the story, get up at 5 a.m., do all your stuff before the kids get up. I have had those times in my life, Ajit, and those were great. And I've had a lot of times when I just wasn't up for it, but I have the ability, like you do, being an entrepreneur, that I can do the kid thing now. I'm kind of doing that now. Kind of get up. I have a little time, but then the kids are up. Some of them are up really early now. I got older kids to go to college and whatever. And they're up really, and it's hard to get that time. And I wait, and then it's about 8 o'clock, 8:15. Everybody's gone. Everybody's gone from my house. Now I'm at my studio now. Mine, like yours, I'm only about a mile from my house, but then I get my time, whether I have it here at the office or at my house, then I get it. And I appreciate the freedom of that. I want people to hear that. What works? The point is to have a morning routine whenever it happens. Fair?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think it's again one of those things that we were talking about in our last conversation, where
Yeah.
sometimes you would look at an influencer online, they'll go 5 a.m. That's what
Yeah.
you gotta do, 5 a.m. before the kids wake up, and you're like, don't do that to people. That's not true. It's not. Not everybody can pull it off. It may be something that you want to do, and so sure, go do it, buddy. But don't say billionaires wake up at 5 a.m. It's not true. It's not hard data. This is maybe one guy somewhere or one gal somewhere that does it. Doesn't mean everybody's doing it. The people who get to create the most beautiful lives are the people who are in control of designing their lives. And they're designing in the way they want. They don't give a shit about what people think works or doesn't work, because that's not what matters on a day-to-day basis. You could do it for a short burst. You can't do it for a long time. It's not sustainable. And you don't
Yeah.
want to do things that are not sustainable, because you will build out the wrong habits and then hate those habits.
Well said. Thank you. There you go. Self-coaching right there. Work is next, career, business. Um, and I did pull out too, this is from you, from being the former CEO at Mindvalley to co-founding Evercoach to becoming a master coach to co-founding multiple successful businesses. My career is literally an ever evolving work of art. I love that statement. So tell me what's driving you vocationally.
So, to me, what the fundamental driver is something that I kind of mentioned a little bit when we were talking about spirituality is it is that I truly believe that we are one consciousness and we are one humanity in some way. We have our ebbs and weird things that we do as humanity, but we are generally good people who have had bad experiences and we've made meaning out of it. And my purpose for now is to help that condition, if I may call it that, is to see if I can contribute in my little or big way to be able to help us see the beauty in ourselves and to be able to elevate ourselves. And which is why one of my primary values is service. Is how can I be of service to another human being, to society at large, to a meaningful thing that we could do in life. So that's what drives me in my career, is to be of service, to be of value to other individuals. And what I've realized is, as a human being, there is never a point in my life that as a human being, I am somebody that has had so many things happen to them or happen for them, that I've had many strokes of paint in the art that I am
Yeah.
today, which is a beautiful art. It's absolutely amazing. It's fascinating. And it's not complete and it'll never be. And so I am someone who is an ever evolving work of art. And it works for my career, it works for my health, it works for my relationship, it works for me as a person. But more importantly, for my career, because I get to work with people and discover things that are on the cusp, things that are not fully known. So it's an even more important work of art because you have to be a lot more deliberate in it. While we know a lot about humans, we know nothing about humans.
Yeah. Right now, just curious. You got a lot of things going. Are you at a place of, man, this is good? We're good now. Let's keep this here. We've kind of gotten to this level. Or is there something that you're shooting for at the moment?
I'm always shooting for something, Kevin, and it's because there's a famous talk that Matthew McConaughey gave on when he got the Oscar, and I relate to that. And in essence, what he was saying is, there's somebody came in and asked him, "Hey, who do you want to be?" He said, "I have this person 10 years from now that I will be." And he defines that person, and the person comes 10 years later and say, "Hey, are you the person that you said you're going to be in 10 years?" He said, "No way. That's not the person I want to be is in 10 years from now." And the chase that he talks about this thing that you're becoming at all times, is very exciting and very addictive to me. To me, if I slow down, it's usually for a period of 7 to 10 days, where 7 to 10 days I might have a season where I might go, you know what, I don't want to find a new skill, I don't want to create a new skill. And usually that is a signal that I need a short holiday.
Hmm.
And I would just schedule a short holiday. Sometimes just a weekend is all I need. Is basically because I might be grinding into something that was hard and difficult, and so my soul is telling me, take a beat. It's almost my soul is telling me, take a beat so you can find the answer to this thing that you're trying to solve, because you're not going to solve this problem by trying to solve this problem. Right? Has that ever
Interesting.
happened to you, where you're like,
Yeah.
I can't solve this, I can't solve this, and you go take a break for like an afternoon and you're like, oh, I know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what my soul's telling me. It's like, hey, go take a break because you know the solution. It's only going to come through when you stop obsessing about it.
Well, we're back to the self coaching, the self awareness, and being aware of our own energy. And I feel like that even on a daily basis. Some days, man, man, I'm there, I'm all there, and I know it in my workout. Man, I'm cruising. I feel like I got another gear. Me mountain biking, so the angles are lining up, and then I realize the times when, man, it's just not there. Don't know why exactly, but I'm gonna go ahead and honor that. And today, I'm just not going to dive into that creative project. So I'm probably just going to be pushing against the wall. I'll get some busy work done and maybe try to chill out, see if I'm there tomorrow. So yeah, fair
Absolutely.
enough.
Yeah.
Money is next. Finances, wealth. What is driving you there?
I don't know what's driving me there. I don't know what that means. Do you mean a goal, or just what are my value sets around it?
Really, the value sets, yeah, that keep
Yeah.
you on the path that you want. Yeah.
So to me, money is available to everyone in as much quantity as a person wants. And money is nothing more but a way for you to enjoy what life has to offer. Until the time you need or want to enjoy something, you should have it. And this is true for everyone, not just true for me, it's true for everyone. So I'm very clear that if somebody doesn't have money or thinks that they do not have money, it's mostly because they can't believe that they could have it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's why I choose to believe that I could have whatever amount of money I want. And that's why I've not struggled with money in the past 15 years. See, one of the biggest goals I had for my parents was to get them to buy a house and move them out of the house.
Hmm.
I set that goal for myself when I was maybe like 20 years old, right? And when I set that goal, I thought, this is going to take me a lifetime. You know, I mean, I came from a beginning where I didn't even know how to make my first dollar or first rupee, as I would say it at
Hmm.
that time. And at 28, I think 28 or 29, somewhere between that age, I bought them a house,
Wow.
right? So that was transformative for me to to make me realize that we think of money more than we need to think of it. Like we think it's this complex, weird thing that is really hard to do. It's actually incredibly easy to do if you know the fundamentals for you to be true. And the fundamental truth of it all is money is available to all of us. You have to stay consistent to be able to get to it. You need to know what you want to be able to have it and create it. You need to be able to write it out and then hope. You need to be able to write it out for the next 3 or 5 years and know that it'll happen, and not doubt it and not question it and not wonder if it'll happen or not. And the most important of it all is don't define your money goal based on somebody else's money goal, which is the biggest problem that we all have. Most people will go, I would like $1 million. Why? Because somebody told them having $1 million is cool. It's got nothing to do with it.
Next one is achievements, which to some degree you may have already answered. I'm trying to think about how to pull more out of it, but you said I'm always shooting for something. But that's a question I ask. Our achievements mean so much to us, how we see ourselves in the past in regards to our achievements, and then of course the purpose and going forward. But to ask you, what is driving your achievements?
So I'm not a big achievements guy. I
Okay.
actually like to just put a thing to chase, but I don't actually care if I ever get it.
Hmm.
What I do care, the reason why I put it there is because I do know that I need somewhat of a compass to know where to travel. Otherwise, I would just get distracted, or that's what I found myself to be. Is I get distracted with things that are not even important to me. So I like to put something there. So say for example, when I because we've talked about this story a couple of times, is when I said, oh, I want to have an athlete's body. I don't actually care if I have athlete's body. What I love is that I went from 25% body fat to 13% body fat, that I have infinite amount of energy, that I can get more things done. I'm mentally super cognitively aware and present to things. I love all of that. Right. If I take a picture with my wife, we both look great, not just my wife. Right. It's not an achievement. It's not a thing that I've achieved because I didn't really set out to do a particular thing. I just set out to say, that's the compass. So it gives me direction, gives me the focus that I need to have. And let's all run and let's enjoy what happens along the way. It's the same with business, it's the same with money, it's the same with health, it's the same with relationship, it's the same with friendships, it's the same with business partnerships, it's the same with spirituality. I'm not trying to achieve any of those things that I write down. I don't care. I'm not trying or not trying. I just don't care about it. I do need a focal point so I know where to go or what
Yeah.
direction I want to travel. And I'm
Yeah.
okay if it takes 1 month or it takes 10 years.
That is, I resonate with that. I want people to hear that because we do have kind of like what you talked about with the 5 a.m. thing. You have people that ascribe to that. That's the thing that we do with, you've got to have a goal. You got to know what it is. It's got to be specific and it's got to be a number and you got to commit to it. And I've always struggled a little bit, Ajit, with the reality that I don't really need that. And sometimes it's frustrating. It feels confining actually, but I do want a carrot to chase. I do want something to go after. But as you said, sometimes I look at it and go, man, if I don't achieve it, it's just not the end all. I enjoyed the process till I found the next thing. And it reminds me of Robert Waldinger. I don't know if you know Robert. He's got the TED Talk that's been seen by, I don't know, 60 million people, I think, on the good life and their studies on the good life. And I had him on the show and I asked him about achievements. And he said, Kevin, similar to you, Ajit, he said, these days, he says, I do. I have some things I want to do. I've got some big achievements, but I'm more interested in enjoying the journey, enjoying the path that I'm
Mm,
on. And I feel like that's got to be so freeing to people to say, put something out there. I like that. Got to put something out there or I'm going to get distracted. But if I don't get it, I'm really just enjoying the day and the pursuit and the journey and the path. Well said. Thank you.
thank you.
Last one. Interests, just personal interest. These are the things that you do may or may not be productive in and
Mhm.
of themselves, or the thing you do for fun, the thing you do for play, the thing that inspires. I mean, I know all this inspires. You live a life where you've geared it, as you talked about, designed it to where it all inspires you. But these are some things that are just unique to you, things that you do just for you.
Yes, there are a few actually. I
Tell
indulge a lot in movies. I
me.
like a good movies, not just any
Mm.
movie. I love watching movies. I can watch movies again and again. I'm one of those guys. It's like, oh, you saw the movie, a year ago. Yep, I've seen Good Will Hunting probably 10 times.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm one of those guys. Like, I love good movies. I love good stories. I just love
Yeah.
beautifully told stories. I obsess a little bit about gear on content production these days. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because I like movies so much. So I've got like top of line gears, and I'll study this stuff and how to shoot and what to shoot, how the lighting is going to fall, and so on and so forth. So it's interesting to me, random interest, completely unrelated to anything else. I love cooking. Clearly, I make breakfast and all that stuff, and I haven't pursued it really hard in the last year and a half or so. But previously, it would be like, all right, what cuisine do you want? And then I would
Mhm.
make the cuisine. Like I would learn it and make it one of the nights. And it's just the last year I haven't done so much of it, but I absolutely love it. I absolutely obsess over good food as well. My new interest is, of course, just like studying how to really create a wonderful body for yourself. So, what workouts, how they work, what to do, what not to do, things like biome, all that stuff. Those are my new interests. They happen to coincide with my work, but that's not the intent of them. They just
Yeah.
are interests that also happen to become work sometimes. I love books. I've read not. I love listening to books more than reading them nowadays. So I've listened to like 36 this year as of now. I love them. Absolutely love them. Um, and yeah, those are some of the interests that I have.
Well, I actually pulled one out and I forgot about it. You love choosing an exciting destination for the next vacation. Is that one true too?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
that is also true. Now we do it together because I mean
Mhm.
previously I would do it just now we have to now we actually pick based on who all will be going. So there is
Yeah.
two destinations we'll do with kids, one to two destinations, but at least one we'll do just me and Nita, and one destination we'll do with friends. So we'll have
Okay.
friends and kids and everybody together. So yeah, so we do about 4 or 5 trips. Actually, next week, next Monday, not the coming Monday, but the Monday after, we had heading to India and then Dubai for a month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, India to
Yeah.
meet my family and to hang out with them and have a good time with them, and then Dubai is the destination that we actually picked with
All
the
right. I do
family,
have
of course.
to ask on the movies because, man, I do too. I love that you brought that in. Love a good story. We started off the first show together talking about the stories we tell ourselves. So I do. I love getting lost in a good story, something that inspires me and moves me. Have any recently that have stuck out to you? Man, I'm always looking for a good one.
A good story. Well, I really like the story. It's an Indian movie though, so I don't know if it's gonna stick out to you as much. It's called
Okay.
Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani. It's a wonderful story of love and family. So it's an interesting one. It's the one that I liked recently. That's popping in my head straight away. My
Okay.
kids loved it too. So it's kind of fun. I thought Oppenheimer was well done. I
Mhm.
never got a chance to see Barbie, but people tell me that's pretty good. I just didn't. I don't know why, but we just ended up not seeing it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Okay, good. Fair enough. Man, thank you. It's just been a gift. Thanks for sharing the insight and just the things that you're doing. I mean, ultimately, this is a series on self coaching. So it's incredibly beneficial to hear how you are self coaching yourself and just the inspiration you've given me. I think it's been confirming to hear some of what you have shared. I do want to, folks, send you again to get his book, which he really gets into a lot of this and just again passion and purpose. And I love the aspect of practicality is in his book, Live Big, which he's given us for free. If you go to Coach Ajit, AJIT.com/live dash big dash special. You can get that for free. And I really appreciate you offering that to us. And folks, if you got value from the show, let us know. Leave a rating on Spotify, leave a review on Apple. And again, if you would even mention this specific episode, it's a blessing to both of us to know that we gave some value. So do that. You can watch us and watch him in his studio with great lighting from his great gear at YouTube and find all the clips that we'll do on social media. Find me at kevinmiller.co. And if you want to learn how to master your own inner drive, get my book, What Drives You, on Amazon. And until next time, folks, stay driven.
Yeah.